Hello HEMA friends! Today in this new video we will see together a series of exercises that take inspiration from the modern fencing way of training with the instructor or the master, which translated directly from the Italian is named Plaston lessons, so lesson on the Plaston of the instructor. This takes the name from the padded protection that the instructor or the master wears to train the student. In fact, during these training sessions, the instructor takes a huge number of hits, so he needs a bit more protection, and so he needs a Plaston. And from here, it comes the name of this kind of specific personal training. So in this video you will see me taking the part of the student while my student Luca takes the part of the instructor. I have decided for this simply because I want to show you that these very basic exercises can be made between neophytes. So you can start to train this kind of action even in a situation in which you don't have an expert instructor with you. So you can still start training how to improve your simple attack, which is the basic of any single fencing action. Okay, let's start to give a look to these exercises. Now the first one may be a little silly to watch, but it is probably the most important one. It is really important for a beginner, but it's still really important for a trained practitioner. In this exercise, the instructor shows a huge opening to the student, and the student have simply to attack the instructor, and he can attack the instructor whenever he wants. So he have to prepare his action, be confident in his action, and strike his attack. Now for the thrust, here you can see that I do a thrust on quarta, because in this exercise, if it is not specified, you don't have to cover the line, the most direct line of the opponent weapon. You can also decide to do a thrust or a cut, which try to close the most direct line of attack of the opponent guard, but you can decide to do it or not. It is not always important. It is more important at the beginning to train confidence in striking the first intention attack. In this second exercise, the instructor showed to his student a situation in which a first intention attack can be launched more or less easily. And this situation is a changing of position of the instructor blade from an elongated position toward the student, for example a longa or languid position, toward a guard which doesn't have the point online, for example porta di ferro or posta di donna. So in this situation, the student may and should launch his attack during the changing of position of the instructor blade, and not in the end of this changing of position. Simply because by doing this, the student gains more time, and so he increases the chance that his first intention attack lands. Of course, you can do this exercise at different measures and with different stepping motions. You can do it with the lunge, you can do it with the full step, or you can do complex way of moving like half step, full step, or half step lunge. You can also, of course, train different attacks. You can train thrusts with or without the opposition, cuts that close or not the most direct line of attack. In the end, you can choose to train whatever action you want. You have to simply be clear on what you want to train in the specific exercise. For example, at the beginning can be a good idea to be more focused on executing the footwork in the proper way and at the proper time. For example, talking about thrusts, it is important to move hand first and foot after. Talking about cuts, it is not always possible to throw a cut in this fashion, so moving hand first and foot after, simply because we have a different variety of cuts. We can talk about the Scheitelau, the standard, the Fendente or Oberau, or the Zwerchau. Those cuts are completely different, use different measures, and you can use them with different stepping motions. Depending from the measure, which stepping motion you use and which cut you are using, you will move the hands and the foot in different ways at different timings. So it is not always a rule. But still, with the thrust, it is more common and far more useful to move hand first and foot after, even if still in this situation it is not a 100% rule. There are a few situations in which you can move in a different timing, but still, with the thrust, it is very, very important to train this specific timing of the motion. Okay, let's keep going with our third exercise. In this situation, the instructor is doing the same thing as before, so basically he keeps the weapon online, and when he wants to invite the student to throw the attack, he leaves the position and go backward in another guard, like posta di donna. When the student see the instructor leaving the position, he have to attack, of course. But this time, the instructor is also moving forward and backward. The student have to keep a safe measure. If the student go too far, and so he is next to the tip of the instructor have to punish the student. So by basically thrusting him in the face, for example. So the student have to keep his safe measure until he see the invitation that is made by the instructor. Now, when the student sees this motion, he have to strike his attack as fast as possible by covering the measure which is necessary to hit the instructor. In this specific situation, I am training my thrust with full steps, but you can do it in other fashion, as I said before. So, for example, only moving with half steps or a crescere, and then throwing the lunge when is needed, or throwing again half step and lunge as a complex way of stepping to throw the attack. Now, this is only an example, and again, you can do it with other actions, with other attacks, and other way of stepping. This simple exercise is very useful, and at this point, it starts to recreate a situation more or less realistic, in which you can use your first intention, simple attack, doing sparring, or tournament, or a fight, or whatever. Now, with this format of training, you can basically train any kind of offensive action. But I want to advise you these 3 basic exercises, simply because are very easy and quite simple, and you can train in this way with any kind of friend of any kind of level. So, by doing this, even if you are doing an exercise which is simple, you are training something which is quite complex, which is throwing the basic attack of first intention, which is one of the hardest action to do. Now, if you want, you can make these exercises that you have seen more complex, even by adding something really simple like a parry. So, for example, in the third exercise, when the instructor reaches the posta di donna or porta di ferro, he can parry the attack of the student. If the student is not fast enough in throwing his attack, the attack can be parried, of course. So this can make the student more faster in his action. But even by adding only this simple parry, you have to be careful, because you need more skill in terms of what the instructor have to do. Because the parry should be made by reaction. So you should recreate a situation in which you don't expect the student attack, and you have to react by your natural reaction, your natural instinct, so reflexes. So you have to see the attack coming, and you don't have to basically go into Porta di Ferro and instantly going back, because you know that the attack will come. So it starts to become a bit more complex to create this kind of exercise if you are not trained and you have not quite high instructor skills. So I will advise you, try this three simple exercise with your friends to train your simple attack. Don't go too much farther, don't make things too complex, and try to get as much as you can from these three simple exercises. Then in the future, maybe if you want to see more about this, we will see together other exercises a bit more complex, and I will try to advise you in which way to execute these new 3, 4 or whatever we see exercises. Okay guys, we have seen 3 basic exercises at the Plaston to train the simple attack of first intention. I hope this video will help you. Share with me your thoughts about what you have seen, and as always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.